Hey guys, what's up? It's all about Mike 18 here with the movie review for Red Dawn. Guys, Red Dawn came out today, November 21st, Wednesday. Movies usually don't come out on Wednesdays too much. I mean, yeah, they do come out on Wednesdays, but 9 times out of 10, movie will come out on a Friday. But because it's Thanksgiving weekend, Red Dawn, along with Rise of the Guardians and Life of Pi, I guess that, they decided to release these movies today. Okay, that's fine with me. But to be honest, guys, I actually really wanted to see Red Dawn. I mean, of course, I watched the badass trailer before I went to go see this movie, and it looked pretty awesome. I mean, from the cast to the amount of, like, the action and the fight scenes in this movie, it looks pretty awesome. I was really looking forward to it. And in the end, after I saw it, was it awesome? Well, here's the thing. This movie, it wasn't bad. No, it was not bad. But was it really good? No, I'm kind of, you see, here's the thing with me. I'm kind of halfway with this movie. I think it's good, and then again, it's bad. I have a lot of problems with this movie, which I will let you guys know about later in this review. And I have a couple things that I did actually like about the movie. But anyway, is this movie as bad as what everyone on Rotten Tomatoes is saying it is? No, it's not that bad. I mean, you gotta go, if you wanna if you want a little laugh, go on Rotten Tomatoes and look up this movie on it. This movie is like a 12% as of right now, as I'm filming this. And only like 10 people gave it a good review, so yeah, it's not good at all. But yeah, I think it's a little bit better than what people are saying. But, like I said, I'll let you guys know about my problems later on. Right now, I want to talk about the story, the cast, the characters, the action scenes in this movie. I don't spoil. I never try to spoil. So let's get started. But before I do get started, I just wanted to just put this out there. I heard that this is actually a remake. There was an original Red Dawn that came out years ago, but to be honest, I never even knew that there was an original Red Dawn. I just wanted to go see this movie because of the badass looking trailer. So I did not see the original. Of course, yes, I just saw the remake. Anyway, guys, as for the story, to basically sum this up without giving absolutely anything away whatsoever, the North Koreans invade the United States and they take over and take control of everybody, and yeah, that's it. Alright, now, no, of course, I will go more into detail a little bit, but that's basically what happens in this movie. The North Koreans take over the United States, and you have this group of teenagers. I mean, and before North Korea invaded the U.S., these teenagers were living out their day-to-day lives. You have one that's a high school quarterback, you have one that's a cheerleader, you have one that loves computers or whatever, and they get invaded by North Korea one morning just out of nowhere. These kids were not expecting it at all. And now they're on the run from the North Koreans. I guess most of their parents get taken and captured, and they have to live amongst everyone else under the rule of the North Koreans. Meanwhile, these kids have they have two choices. They can, one, turn themselves into North Koreans and live amongst everyone else, and have to deal with this rule under the North Koreans, or they can fight for their freedom and say, you know what, I may be a kid, I may be a young adult, but I'm not going to give in to someone that's invading my country. We're going to fight for our freedom. So they have those two choices. So what choice do you think they're going to pick? Of course, they're going to go with the second one. So they basically form this little group known as the Wolverines, and they begin, I guess, fighting against the North Koreans. Yeah, that's pretty much telling the whole story without giving anything away. Now, overall, I like the whole idea of these kids deciding to take a stand, and believe me, they took a stand in this movie. Oh boy, they took a stand. I mean, it seemed like in a couple scenes of this movie, and it was kind of unrealistic in a way, these kids were really, like, kicking the crap out of the North Koreans. I mean, the North Koreans, like, it's like they were weak against these kids, and these are young kids that have absolutely no military experience, except for Chris Hemsworth, that is, in this movie, whatsoever, and they were really destroying these North Koreans. I mean, literally, they had, like, a C4 skateboard, and, like, they were just picking them off one by one. I mean, it's like, wow, that's a little unrealistic, though. It felt a little unrealistic. I'm not going to be I'm going to be honest. But overall, I like that overall idea of kids standing up for themselves, to fight for what they believe in, to fight for their freedom. I like that idea. I think that's cool. I've never really seen that in a movie before, so that's something I really liked about the story. And these kids, they really don't give up, and, it's hard for them when they lose another one in the group, because, yeah, some people do die in this movie. Some of their, their own peers, their own friends in this group, do get killed, so, yeah, it's hard on them, but, they still keep fighting, and that's something I liked about these kids. I really enjoyed this movie from that point of the story. I liked that. So guys, the next thing I want to talk about is the cast of this movie. This is going to take me a while because there's a lot of important cast members I want to talk about. Of course, you have our main leading star, Chris Hemsworth. He's a Marine, so he has a lot of experience. So, all of this fighting against the North Koreans, it's not too hard for him because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to hold a weapon. Meanwhile, these kids have never really held a weapon before in their entire life. But Chris Hemsworth was really one of the best parts in this movie, acting-wise. He was really good. Of course, Chris Hemsworth, who was Thor in Thor and the Avengers, I loved him. He was excellent in this, as he had been in Thor and the Avengers. Then you have Josh Peck. Josh Peck, can you believe he is in this movie? Josh Peck from Drake and Josh, that show on Nickelodeon. Josh Peck is in this movie. I was shocked when I found out that he was going to be in this movie. Now, here's the big question. A lot of people have been criticizing Josh Peck. They've been saying he's horrible in this movie. His acting. Was his acting that bad? It was okay. I'm going to be honest, it's a lot better than people have been saying this. I mean, people have really been ripping into him for his acting in this movie, but it's not that bad. Yeah, it's bad in some scenes, but overall, for the most part, it's okay. It does have, it's in a couple scenes. But overall, I just enjoyed seeing Josh Peck from Drake and Josh, a show that I really enjoyed on the big screen. And you have Josh Hutcherson, who is PETA in the Hunger Games. He was in this. Now, his acting was a little iffy in this. It wasn't that bad. Maybe it was a little bit better than Josh Peck's, actually. I'm going to be honest. But, yeah, I liked Hutcherson in this, too. He was one of the more minor characters. And then you have Connor Cruz in this movie. You have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who I really didn't like in The Possession, but he was good in this. You have Jeffrey Dean Morgan is actually one of the adult Marines in this movie. You have Isabel Lucas from Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. She's in this movie, but she's in this movie for 15 minutes, so I'm not even going to really talk about her. She's Josh Peck's girlfriend. They have a little, they have a romance going on. And then this other girl that I'm going to mention, Adrienne Palicki. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's hot. Oh, her and Isabel Lucas, man. I'm not gonna talk about that. But she's in this movie as well. She was good. Isabel Lucas, but I did like the relationship between Hemsworth and Peck. I thought they had a really strained relationship in the beginning, probably because their mother died. And then towards the end, I guess they make their amends, or whatever you want to call it. But overall, the cast, decent for the most part. I probably liked Hemsworth and Hutcherson the best. Peck was okay. I mean, come on, but I just love seeing Josh on the big screen. I mean, that's awesome. Next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the action in this movie. Now, there are obviously a lot of action scenes, a lot of gunfight scenes, a lot of scenes where these young kids are picking up guns, and I'm like, I don't know how they're holding a weapon right. They're teenagers. They've never held it before, but okay. For the most part, I enjoyed the action scenes. I have actually one major complaint with the action scenes I'll talk to you guys about later on. For the most part, overall, they were decent. I mean, there were a couple of pretty nice ones, pretty long ones for the most part. I guess overall, they were okay. Anyway, this movie, I want to talk about its rating really quick. This movie is rated PG-13. PG-13, there is some violence. Actually, there was actually a lot of, violence in this movie. I wouldn't say that, anyone under 17 shouldn't go see this movie. I'm just going to say, the characters do get killed in this movie. I was actually surprised. There was a lot more violence than I thought there would be. I didn't think that they would show, half of the deaths they did show. But they did, so, what are you going to do? But, kids that age, they can handle this movie. There is some language, you got to be aware of that, but I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. Now, guys, point has come for me to talk about my rating for this movie. Now, you see, I'm confused. I don't know if I should give this movie... Originally, I wanted to give this movie an 8. Then it kind of went down to a 7.5. And now I'm even thinking between 7 or an 8. Probably I'm going to go halfway, 7.5 for Red Dawn. I know a lot of people are probably like, what the hell? You should have given this movie a hell of a lot lower than a 7.5. But, you know what? Like I said, for the most part, I enjoyed this movie. I loved seeing kids take a stand for their freedom against North Koreans that were invading the U.S. I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, for the most part, overall, I enjoyed the cast, except for Josh Peck. His acting could have been a little bit better. I don't know if that was his fault in the movie, because he's really good in Drake and Josh, but overall, he was okay. There were a couple of nice action scenes. I did laugh a couple times in this movie. There were a couple of funny parts, that I liked. They threw some of that in there. But overall, those are my positives about Red Dawn. Now on to the negatives. Oh, boy. Okay, first thing I'm going to talk about. Biggest problem I had with this movie was actually some of the action scenes. Some of the action scenes in this movie are edited so poorly. I am sorry, but it is so... Some of these action scenes, it's not the camera work. It's not any of that. There is some shaky cam in this, but, it's hardly recognizable if you ask me. It's really not the camera work. It's the editing. Whoever was editing this movie, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I mean, you see one person, you see people firing, then it shows other people firing, and it's making too many cuts so quickly. It kind of reminded me of some of the action Taken 2, but not as bad. I mean, it's bad in this, probably not as bad as some of the action scenes in Taken 2, but some of the gunfight scenes in this, it was bad. And then you have these characters that just out of nowhere, they just come onto the camera, and we just see them firing against the North Koreans, and I'm like, where the hell did you come from? I was like, this is poorly edited. That was my biggest complaint with this movie. I could hardly see who the hell was firing at who in a couple of scenes in the movie. That kind of bothered me a little bit. That was overall my biggest complaint. Sloppy editing on the action scenes. And that's another thing. Back again with the editing of this movie. This movie had a lot... It felt really rushed. Like literally 10 minutes into this movie. Probably it wasn't even 10 minutes. Probably 8 minutes into this movie. The North Korean planes are flying overhead, and then the guys are parachuting downward. And they're shooting at stuff. They're blowing houses up and stuff. And I was like, really? Are you seriously going to this that quickly? I was expecting that to happen in another, 10 or 15 minutes later. But it happened so quickly. I was like, damn, that's actually really... That happened really quick. I didn't like that too much. And there were a lot of, I felt, missing scenes in this movie. I mean... And a lot of scenes I felt were really rushed. Namely, one scene that I thought really they should have spent more time on. When the kids were training... getting these military skills that they were learning from Chris Hemsworth because he's their Marine in this movie. That happened so quickly. I mean, it's like that scene literally took a minute and a half and 3 minutes to happen. You see them just practicing with each other, and it's just done so quickly, and I felt that was really a big flaw in the movie. They should have taken time to express that more in the movie, show that more of that in the movie. This movie is like an hour and a half. And they could have made it longer. They could have almost given it, I don't know, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, maybe even 2 hours. But a lot of scenes felt rushed. Some of the acting was iffy. I had, problems like that. Mostly the editing is what really bothered me for the most part. Something I did forget to mention, though, that I really did like, there were actually a couple of emotional scenes in this movie that I actually really did kind of feel bad for these characters. And yeah, so there is that. Characters did die, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that. That's actually really... I didn't see that coming. So yeah, there's that. And then, back to the complaints, I guess you could say, yeah, there's some plot holes in this. Editing was done really poorly. The action scenes really, they were edited so quickly, I couldn't see what the hell was going on. And some scenes felt really rushed. They really needed to add some more scenes into this movie. But overall, those are all my complaints. Those are all the the things I enjoyed about Red Dawn, guys. Like I said, 7.5 out of 10 is probably going to be my final rating. Would I recommend you guys see this in a theater? You know what, if you have nothing to do and you think it looks pretty cool, there are some nice action scenes overall. If you get over the sloppy editing work, there are some nice scenes in the movie. The cast is overall enjoyable. Seeing all these different actors together, namely Hemsworth and Peck, even though Peck's acting was iffy. You know, yeah, I would recommend you see it, kind of. If you don't see it in the theaters, if you wait till DVD or rental, whatever, that's fine too. It really doesn't matter. You don't have to go see this movie. I'm not really recommending that you'll see it. If you don't see it, it'll be the worst thing ever. It's just, if you want to, why not? Will I buy this movie on Blu-ray? Yeah, you know what? It's just a fun little action movie, fun little hour and a half at the theater that does have a lot of problems, but I'd watch it again in the future. So yeah, I'd buy this movie on Blu-ray. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching my review of Red Dawn. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this movie. I know a lot of you probably really won't like this review because I liked it more than a lot of other people did. Overall, it was enjoyable, guys. Kind of a war film, I guess. I don't even know. Action, war film, whatever you want to call it. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you thought of this movie. Thanks for watching. Bye.